It's almost like sherry and peat, it just works. Hey, how's it going? And welcome to Whisky Wins with me, Stuart. Before we start today's review, I just wanted to say that I've started a Patreon page, so if you'd like to support the channel in any way, then hop over there, the link's in the description and also in my channel's bio. You can hop over there and help me if you want. It's greatly appreciated and you'll get a shout out at the end of the video as well. So anyway, on to the review, don't want to go too much into that. On to the review, we've got Longrow Red. This is the 2020 release, so it's the 10-year-old, which has been finished in Refill Malbec. It's bottled at 52.5% ABV, bottled in December 2020, matured for 7 years in ex-bourbon casks, and then the 3 years later, or the latter part of its life, the rest of the 3 years matured in Refill Malbec. I think I picked this up for about 60 to 65 pound. I think it was maybe 65 pound. I can't really remember. I'm terrible with remembering things like that. I should probably write them down or write it on the bottle or something so I can just look back and recall it. But yeah, bottled in 2020 and costing about 65 pound, I'm sure. Its Malbec casks come from South Africa. The peat used, or the whiskey, is peated to about 50 to 55 ppm. I think it's a 40-hour process, it might say on here. 48 hours process, so the malt peat dried for up to 48 hours. Give the whiskey a unique Campbelltown style smoky character. Yeah, so 10,000 bottles available in its cask strength. So they managed to get quite a few bottles out of it then. It must have been quite a big batch. So we'll probably just get down to the nose, taste and palate. I don't think I've got anything else to say on it. We all know Longrow, we all know Springbank. They produce quality. 100% of the process is done on their grounds. From maybe not the growing the barley, but from the malting the barley, or the barley floor, the malting floor, from heating it, from bottling, labelling, maturing, everything is all done within the grounds of Springbank. So yeah, that's probably enough about them anyway. The nose. Yeah, the nose has got this nice Christmas pie mincemeat smell on it. I'm getting like sour raspberries. So I didn't want to be too kind of obvious, Captain Obvious with saying red fruits, because there's definitely going to be red fruits in this. And there is red fruits in this. So there's sour raspberries. I'll obviously mention it if it's there, but I didn't want to go too into it with the red fruits. I wanted to try and pick out some other flavours. There's quince jelly, or quince jam. I think jelly is quite an American term. It's real mineral earthy peat. The peat isn't very overbearing or anything. The peat's just there in the background, but it's there and it's mineral and it's earthy. There's a little bit of chocolate, not dark chocolate mind you, it's probably more milk chocolate. There's a soggy cardboard smell, or a wet cardboard smell. I think soggy is maybe, I don't know if soggy English, is that, it's a Scottish term or is it English? But yeah, soggy cardboard. And it doesn't actually smell bad, I quite like the smell of it. It goes well in this whiskey. Slightly vegetal. But yeah, the red fruits, the chocolate, mincemeat, mince pie. A little bit musky, like a kind of musky funk. And probably just to end on the nose, apples dipped in like toffee or something, toffee coated apples, like what you get at Halloween. And it's, I don't know why I'm looking at my watch, I think it's got the date in it, no it doesn't. It's almost Halloween, so maybe that's in the back of my head. I've been in the shop, seen some toffee dunked apples, so yeah, it is quite a sweet nose. The peat balances it out a little, although it's quite subtle, and I don't really, the musky funk maybe rounds it off, makes it a little, is it nuance? So you've got that kind of sweetness, but then also the musky funk just kind of mellows it out a little, so it's not too sweet. A real complex nose, well put together. And I think the Refill Malbec's probably helped out a lot here, rather than just first fill Malbec. I reckon if it was just first fill Malbec or fresh fill, whatever you want to call it, it might have been a little bit overpowering. But this is great on the nose. The palate. Lovely oily mouthfeel that carries initially just on the tongue as it hits the tongue, a real juicy punch of pineapple. Then there's some grapefruit. Then this fruitiness dissipates and a nice earthy Dunnage, springbank almost, Longrow character comes through once that initial burst of fruitiness kind of evaporates. This Dunnage character just punches through. It's really nice. I need to stop using really nice. I need to stop saying really as well. It's bad adjective, bad grammar. So it's fantastic. I can't really put another word for it. Those flavours, that fruitiness, that fresh, juicy fruit, and then just taming with that Dunnage, almost like the nose. It's quite well constructed. Smoky element there, a little peppery, and a little tanginess as well, which the tanginess reminds me of Longrow and Springbank as well. I get a lot of tang, a lot of funk, a lot of kind of Dunnage flavours through Springbank whiskies. There's some nuttiness there, and I'd like to say chestnut. I think it's chestnut, going still with the Halloween theme of Duke toffee apples, and I'm sure in autumn we have chestnuts falling from the trees. I'm sure it's autumn that you play conkers and stuff. Anyway, chestnuts and the palate, as well as the peat's there, but once again still quite subtle, not very prominent in the palate or the nose. So on to the finish. The finish is long, it's quite drying. I was expecting the palate to be quite dry with the red wine, the Malbec, but the palate for me was more kind of juicy, quite oily, nice mouthfeel, held it all together. But now in the finish it's drying out. We're getting a nice kind of pepperiness, a nice peppery spice, probably some orange there as well, just a little bit of orange. It's not too strong in the finish, it's just there, it's just a little evident. So there's orange, there's a nice pepperiness. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's a little bit of oak, like a little bit of wood, I think just tying in with that drying feeling. There's some milk chocolate coming through in the finish. There's also an ash flavour, ashes, a little smokiness. So in the finish, the peat is bolder now. You're getting a lot more of it, and you can definitely say it's a peated whiskey. Whereas in the nose and the palate, it wasn't too evident, but in the finish, it's definitely telling you I'm a peated whiskey. So we'll go down to the 3 ways I rate my whiskey. I'll finish this off camera, take my time with it, but we'll go down to the 3 ways I rate my whiskey. Is would I buy it again? Do I think it's worth it? Which kind of tie together, and would I recommend it? So would I buy this again? I think I would. If I was to go for some of the Longrow Reds that I've had and that I can think of, I think I probably would buy them all again, because they're all, for me, fantastically put together. I think they marry well together with the red wine and the peat. I don't think they're overwhelming. I think the fruitiness, the red wine juiciness comes through, and also the Springbank Longrow character is still there. And I do think it ties well together. It's almost like sherry and peat, it just works. So for me, it just works, and I would buy a bottle of this again. Do I think it's worth it? £65 for a 10-year-old cask strength that has given me that much enjoyment, yeah, definitely worth it. It's a top-notch whiskey. It's, like I said, well constructed. It's not too refined. It's got a good nuance about it. It's complex. It's got a lot of depth. So yeah, I think it's worth the £65, the enjoyment that I've got so far from halfway through the bottle. And would I recommend it? Yeah, without a doubt. This is, I really do hope that there's some springbank that I'll come to, and I'm sure there will be, where I just don't enjoy it. Well, I don't hope that, but it just seems like I'm sucking up springbank every time. But this is fantastic. It's just, there's no getting around it. I was thinking maybe was this one of my least favourite Longrow Reds, and it's not necessarily it being a least favourite, but if I was to rank the Longrow Reds that I've had or owned, with regards to the Cabernet, Chilean, Sauvignon, or however it is, whatever way around it is, and the Pinot Noir, those two would be ahead of this, but standalone this is still a fantastic whiskey. So I was kind of hoping, or not hoping, but I was kind of thinking, oh, will I go into this and will it be a bin? But I can't say it's a bin just because it's my least favourite of the three. It's a win on its own. It's a win even up against those three because it's just that fantastic. So that's all I've probably got to say. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. I'm just looking at it. It's so oily and thick in the glass. I'm really looking forward to having the rest of it. So once again, thanks for watching. I've been Stuart. This has been Whisky Whims. I'll see you later.